you were a contributor to TYT for a couple years there. Can you just tell me about your work with them and what caused you recently to say that you were going to stop?
Yeah, I think the normalizing of everything that this conversation has been complaining about, you and I complaining about, the normalizing of that at the expense. Like, so you and I just sat down and had a wonderful, critical conversation of the party that we associate with, the Democratic Party, and it was not. It's not in trying to normalize MAGA and pretend that MAGA is not a danger to people's lives or lived experience.
In this clip from Francesca Fiorentini's channel, we have one of the most explosive critiques of the Young Turks yet. Francesca Fiorentini and Mondale Robinson, who was an ex-TYT host, both obvious longtime contributors to the progressive space, are putting TYT on full blast for abandoning its core values, normalizing dangerous rhetoric, and playing both sides for clicks. If you've been in the loop, you'd know they've been on full blast for quite some time already, but this is only taking it a step further. So let's get into this clip where I will be giving you my unfiltered take.
And I think when I see Jenk and I see Anna on interacting in that way, where they're pretending that things aren't as they are, and they during this both sideism, I'm frustrated beyond belief because less with Anna because I have very limited interactions with her, but more with Jenk, a person who sat beside me and called me brother and said that, oh, I believe that you should run for president. Right. For me to hear that from you, and then you normalize the people who are threatening my life, it's more than unsettling. It's off-putting. And it's also the danger that you would risk the other 75 or 76 people that work at TYT's lived experience or life, work. People like JR have been at TIT since the beginning, so it belongs to him as well. Jake has in the lower third of the screen all the time. It says "You're my boss," talking about the people who subscribe, the listeners. If he believed that, he would walk away right now because he is not the TYT that we subscribe to. He's not the TYT that we need in this moment. There's nothing. The Young Turk has become the old turncoat.
Let's quickly talk about how perfect this line is. The Young Turk has become the old turncoat. TYT was supposed to be the vanguard of progressive media, but now they're acting like career politicians, saying one thing, doing another. This isn't evolution. This is plain simple selling out. And Francesca and Mondale are pulling back the curtain to show us exactly how far TYT has fallen. And the saddest part, they don't even seem to realize it or care that they're alienating the very audience that built their platform. Don't worry, guys, I'll never do that to you.
And he has to accept that and step away if he truly cares about the other shows on that network so as to not sink that ship. Because right now he's wait. And I don't think people are being honest about the danger of normalizing talking about having drinks and beer with people like the folk on the right. The
Charlie Kirk,
idea that,
Tim
oh my
Pool.
God. Yeah. I mean, and I mean, the idea that Anna had all the smoke for Karen Bass and didn't once in her rants on Twitter mention anything about climate change. She didn't, not once did she mention anything about the 800, that LA is not a city, it's a county. It is a city, but it's also a county, and these fires are not just in the city. The lack of nuance that exists in them because of, some people are calling it a grift. I don't know what it is. It's, if they're trying to keep up with the algorithm, it's scary to me that we are playing this game with people's lives, and that is not hyperbole. When I saw Jenk, and I literally almost threw my computer, and for this reason, I didn't get to finish your interview with Jenk. Sorry about that. But when I saw him say to you, over you, that you're playing the minority game, and I'm looking like, you're talking to someone who's telling you their existence, and you're telling them it doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, this just honestly drives it home. And when you normalize or platform dangerous ideologies, you're not just making bad takes, you're putting people's lives at risk. You know, the things that are being done, TYT isn't just playing a game here. They're legitimizing the same forces that threaten marginalized communities. I mean, it's no longer progressive commentary. Now it's become more so a reckless opportunism.
Or you shouldn't feel threatened, even though we watch Donald Trump say the China virus in an intentional way to invoke a certain thing from certain people. And then we deliberately try to play out the fact that we immediately in Atlanta saw people starting to get killed, Asian people starting to get threatened at work immediately. This is not just a correlation, it's causation. And Jake is playing that down, and that to me is disgusting. I am not here to say that there's no problems with the Democrats Democratic Party because we know them all too well. I mean, you and I just had a 30, 40-minute articulating the problems with this administration and all of them before that. But we also know that they are not equal to the racist people who are trying to kill me, who has doxed me, who are trying to kill other people, and who are telling people that we need to destroy families and send people back places that are unhealthy and unsafe for them.
Yep. Amen. I mean, that's exactly right. Yeah, that was a really rough moment. And I think that it's ultimately sadly because, TYT has welcomed people like myself and you into the fold, but I also just want to, just say for the record, like, I had a media career before I started with TYT. I had an MSNBC special all on my own. I was working at National Geographic. You have had a robust career separate from TYT. None of this is about our own personal brands or our own, plays, and Jenk did not make you or I. So that's really important to name. But I do think it's sad that even though they allow people like us into the fold and the fray, they refuse to learn from us or listen to us. And I think that when you have been doing this work for so long and you still cannot grasp the idea of intersectionality, how race and gender and class all intertwine with one another, and how the right, the fascist goal is to divide us based on these lines.
How does a platform like TYT, with all of its years in progressive media, still miss the mark on intersectionality? Race, gender, class, all of these things are connected, and the right wing knows that. Their whole strategy is to exploit those divisions. TYT was supposed to be the counter to that, and the voice that brings these issues together and fights back. But Francesca is absolutely right. They are failing miserably. How do you call yourself progressive and not even understand the basics of the fight you're supposedly in? It just goes to show you how far off the line they started on they've become.
Like, I don't know, like, who you are. Like, I'm not even I don't even know if you're smart. You know what I mean? I don't even
Right.
know. First of all, I don't know who your political mentors are. I don't know who you look up to. I don't know what your touchstones are. I don't know if you know your history in terms of like civil rights, women's rights, gay rights struggle in this country. I don't know anything. I call into question all of that. It sounds like you are just an opportunistic mouthpiece who wants clicks time and time again. And like, look, I think Mondale, probably I could speak for you, open and willing to have these debates on the show. Sadly, there is no shade of gray at this point between its two main hosts. And yes, as I told Jenk, I do feel very implicated. I have felt implicated by their takes, specifically around crime and policing, in years past, definitely by this new heel turn since Trump's reelection, and absolutely by the misrepresentation of the Los Angeles fires and who the responsibility lies on. It is enraging, to say the least.
It's dastardly. And I also think, like, I mean, like, how do we have credibility as people that are part of the, I consider myself part of the TYT network, right? I'm still a subscriber because I care about the people on that show. I definitely won't. I think I'm all down for starting a petition to force Jenk and Anna to walk away. Give JR the rim. Give you the rim. I don't care. I think we should get serious about pushing them away because I don't like seeding footprints. And I think TYT's footprint in the progressive space is too big just to walk away from the institution. I do think the person driving the ship is about to run us into an iceberg at fast pace. So I think, like, how can we criticize Elon Musk for his misuse of his Twitter platform or his media platform if we don't do the same to them too? How are we taken serious when we criticize Bezos and his media platform and them unwilling to do something they've always done when the editorial board was not allowed to publish their endorsement
That's
when
right.
we won't criticize home? So I think that this for me was a no-brainer. Plus, I remember I grew up with my mom telling me stories about being sprayed with the water hole in the town where I am mayor right now because she was in this wrong spot at the wrong time and she was black. My mom telling me when I don't fight for everybody's issues, then I'm actually picking who I will leave behind.
Yep.
Yes, that's what I feel like Jenk and Anna. Jenk and Anna have decided clicks matter more than fighting for what we need. And at this moment, we need a real vanguard to stand in the gap against what is about to come. And this cozying up to the Trumps of the world is more disgusting than what Mika and Joe Brzezinski did, or I should say Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough did, because we expected that from them.
Yeah, I mean, this is brutal but accurate. TYT has no business cozying up to the very ideologies they've spent years opposing. When you try to humanize or normalize figures like Trump or his enablers, you're giving them exactly what they want: legitimacy. Francesca and Mondale are pointing out the hypocrisy here. TYT spent years criticizing media elites for their pandering, and now they're doing the same exact thing. And it's not even just disappointing, it's almost infuriating, because it's starting to feel like almost every person is a hypocrite and no one can be trusted. But again, I won't do that to you guys.
I
Sure.
wasn't even surprised when it happened. Don't forget when Trump first came on the scene, he was always on the morning Joe. But when I see
Yeah.
it coming from our side, it's disgusting. It's
Yeah, and I
disgusting.
mean, I think that I just want to say that Mondale and I are not a minority here. I think there are a lot of people who we know and love deeply who've been contributors to TYT, who still are there, who feel the same way. But then again, and I agree with you. So you're calling for a changing of the guards, a stepping away. I'm here to say that's never going to happen. But you even told me before we did this show that you actually still support TYT monetarily, like you give them subscriber money, because that's how much you actually believe in the importance of that platform, despite saying that you don't want to support it with your own voice right now because of the turn that they've been making.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the show, the network thrived before I got there. Rebel HQ got to 1 million subscribers when I was there. I think, like I said, I think they will go on. I think though we need to be critical. We need to figure out a way to get rid of Jenk and Anna. That cancer can spread and metastasize, and I think we can't have that because it affects the other people who truly are progressives over there in that space. And I know there are people, without implicating anybody, I know there are people over there that are unhappy with what's happening, but because of healthcare and other reasons, they can't say anything. Another
Yep.
reason we need to untie help people's healthcare from jobs. People are
Yes.
forced to stay in spaces that are unhealthy for their belief systems simply because they need to be covered.
If TYT's leadership is more focused on chasing clout than standing up for progressive values, they are no longer just failing their audience, they're failing the movement. If Jenk and Anna truly cared about TYT's legacy, they'd simply step aside. But let's be honest, that's probably never going to happen. Of course, as always, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this matter and sort of what's happening before us. Be sure to comment down below if you agree, disagree, what your thoughts are on this entire ordeal, let's call it. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.